And then finally, we put a simple guard around it. Alright, tree sports fans, nice little one for you this morning. Now, I didn't get around to doing this yesterday, so I thought, first thing today, it's on my job list. Yesterday, I picked up an absolute bargain. 4 good-sized fruit trees. Look at that, I'm 7'4". 2 for 12 quid. So I've bought 4 that cost me, that's right, 24 quid. Now, I've got this stretch of land just outside my yard and along down the side of my house, which I'll show you right now. Now, that piece of land is absolutely crying out for some trees. Now, what I didn't want to do is put in flipping big oak trees or big maples or whatever, because ultimately, in a few years, well, maybe not in my lifetime, but they'll be far too big and it's got to be the right tree in the right place. I think, to be honest with you, this is something that we should do more often. I know that this is council land. I know that I might get the police saying to me, you shouldn't be doing that, we've now got to go around them and all that sort of shit, but I am being considerate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I plant them dead centre on the grass verge so that the gang mowers can go either side. I'm not just going to plant things higgledy-piggledy and make the grass cutter's life a flipping nightmare. People vandalise them or they take them out. It's only cost me a couple of quid, and really, I'm trying to make a difference, and I reckon it'll look lovely in a couple of years. So let's get them in. A simple tip when you're trying to pick a tree, if you can't decide whether or not it's in good health, especially when it's bare root like this and coming out of a packet. I know they're only cheap trees, but if you get your fingernail and give the cambium layer a little bit of a scratch like that, look at that, nice and green. If it's green, the tree's alive, good choice. If it's brown, it's dead. A few basic tools when you're planting: a simple grafter, some handy post hole diggers, a bit of wood to use as a stake, a knocking stick, a simple little tree tie, and some tree protection. Now let's get it planted. When you're trying to decide how big to do your hole, have a little look at your root ball or your root system and try and make it twice as big as that. Top tip, when you're looking to decide how deep to dig your hole for each individual tree, you don't want to be making the tree sit any deeper or shallower than its root collar. The root collar is quite simple and quite easy to identify. It's where the small fibrous roots and the roots start growing from. If you come up just a tiny little bit from that point, that's your root collar, and that wants to be the surface level of the soil. If you go too deep, you come up the main stem, no good for the tree, and ultimately if you're too shallow and some of the roots are exposed, that's no good either. Now, when I'm planting bare root stock like this, I like to knock this stake into the hole before I actually plant the tree. Some people do it the other way around. I find that it's always a little bit messy because you can compact all the soil around the root plate of the tree and then try and drive your stake in, which ultimately can start damaging some of these little roots. I can try and put this nice and close, put myself my tree tie around here, and now compact the soil around it. When I'm adding in my soil, I use a simple flexi tub. It's nice and easy to handle. I can mix in some bone meal with the compost beforehand, and it's nice and easy. 2 handles, tip it up, and then finally we put a simple guard around it. I use some pins across the back of the stake, and this helps keep rabbits, badgers and stuff like that away from the base of this tree, give it a fighting chance to get established. Oh, and the lads with strimmers when it comes to summertime. And you never know, in years to come, hopefully this tree will outlive me and I'll have a few pies off it. And there we go, 4 trees planted in a row. Hopefully it makes a bit of a difference anyway. Why don't you go and plant a tree today? See you later.